Welcome back to Hockey Day in the OHL, and we're very pleased to be joined by Rico Phillips, the OHL's Director of Cultural Diversity and Inclusion. Rico, good to see you, and right off the bat, let's talk about the role you've been in. It's now been 2.5 years since you joined the Ontario Hockey League in this role. Just tell me what this experience has been like for you.
Well, the experience has been incredible. For those that don't know, I'm a retired firefighter from the City of Flint Fire Department. And so it's a different walk of life, so to speak. But I'm going to tell you that through my experience as a firefighter, I learned so much about whether it be community relations, but human relations that prepared me for this role. But it's like nothing I've ever done before. So, in the same sense, it's a second calling. And that's like what I try to relay to people. This role and work that I do is a second calling. You have to be passionate about helping people connect to each other, whether it be just on the simple basis, or more importantly to me on the cultural basis. So I've been able to go throughout the league. I probably have visited about 13 teams out of the 20, and I still have a few more ahead of me before the season's over. And what's great about that is I take the unique opportunity to not just meet with the teams and the business operations folks at each organization or team, but more importantly, I think, is I go and I hang out in the community of each of these teams. So I get a chance to connect with where our players are living and what kind of community, is supporting our teams. And I always make sure that I take in some of the local fare as well. So for me, it's just been a wonderful journey so far.
When you get a chance to chat with players, for example, being in their dressing room or wherever their gathering area is and get a chance to chat, and I'm sure it's a two-way conversation. What are some of the things that come up in conversation? And I'm sure it's very rewarding when you get questions from the players wanting to maybe get some clarification.
Well, our players today, between the ages of 16 and 20, are very aware and at the same time very inquisitive about these relations that we're trying to develop. In fact, they're far more ahead than when I was in their age group as far as understanding what we say matters and how we say things matters. So one of the things that I've been trying to do is create a firmer connection to each player. And so I'll ask, like after my introduction, what I'll do is I'll reintroduce myself from a cultural basis. So who am I culturally? So I talk about my mom being German and my father being mixed with his father is a Black American and his mother was a white um, indigenous American, and talk about how the two of those worlds would seemingly never connect. And then what I allow the players to do is express who they are from a cultural standpoint. So it's quite interesting, as you could maybe imagine, being asked, well, okay, who are you from? What's your heritage? And for some of us, the first time they had to realize what their heritage is. And what it does is it creates a pride within who they are. It also creates an awareness for others in the room to know that there's diversity amongst us, no matter our race or ethnicity or religion or identity. And that's what I've been finding has been so rewarding, is because these players have a true connection to each other for more than just what position I play or what city I'm from. And that's been one of the most rewarding things. I will tell you that there's been discussion about, words in hip hop music as an example. How to, for some players, how do they cope with, or what's the best plan if someone does cross the line? So it's a wide variety with the players, but the most important one, like I said, is the connection that we're making culturally.
I know one thing you've used is the term transform rather than change. And are you finding, just with those discussions and taking pride in their own heritage, you're finding there is that transformation?
Yeah, so what it's doing is open up the mindset. And when we talk about transforming it, change is a difficult word to kind of take in, especially when we're talking about changing societal views. So we're transforming, which takes time. Change we think will happen in a moment. Transformation takes time, and that's what I'm well aware of. That this is not a overnight instant cultural change within our locker rooms and our our certainly our sport. I think that's the ultimate goal is our sport. It starts in the locker rooms, but it spans out into our to the way the business end of things are done. Like who are our sponsors in each community? Who supports us? Who do we support in each community? And then ultimately the fans. The fans from all walks of life need to be invited into an OHL game if and not only be invited in but to feel welcome in. And so it's a big process and it will take time, but I see the needle moving.
Rico, you've been around the game for many years, playing it, refereeing it, and then running the inner city youth hockey program in Flint as well. And as with some of the things you've been involved with, recognized in 2019 with the NHL's Willie O'Ree Community Hero Award. I know Willie O'Ree near and dear to you. That's 3 years, almost 4 years removed from winning that award. I've got to think, even you look back, do you kind of pinch yourself a little bit being connected with Mr. O'Ree?
Without question, I pinch myself all the time. I'm reminded. I remind myself about, what Willie stands for and the level of ambassadorship that he has provided to youth hockey and minor hockey all across North America for many, many years. And while I'll never be Willie O'Ree, I'll never be even like Willie O'Ree, I still try to resemble what he's been doing in the world. And my ambassadorship has been able to span from the youngest of kids and the newest of kids to the most experienced now of kids. And when we're talking about elite level hockey players in the Ontario Hockey League. So I feel very blessed. And I know from talking with Willie, he's proud of the things that we're being able to provide. I've been able to provide and been able to do. And this walk has been an incredible journey. I mean, I was just at the NHL Awards last summer in June, and it was at the invitation of the National Hockey League to help celebrate our award with this year's award winner, and just that connection to the larger and the more prominent hockey community. I don't even think I could have ever dreamt this, to be honest with you. So it's a living dream. It really is.
Now, the Inner City Youth Program in Flint was formed in 2010. Since then, the Flint Firebirds and the Ontario Hockey League have come to town. Has that allowed where that connection can be made with higher level of hockey, these players chasing their dreams, whether at a youth level and now at an OHL level as well?
Yeah, without question, one of the things that's most important to our program's existence are the Flint Firebirds and the Flint Firebirds Foundation and owner Rolf Nielsen, who owns the facility as well. So the reason I say that is because the Flint Firebirds Foundation actually pays for our ice time, and anybody who's in the world of hockey understands how big of a piece of money that cost, and that is incredibly important so we can offer this barrier-free to the kids here in Flint. Also, the building's ownership has allowed us to have storage space, which is almost unheard of. If you go to any rink or arena across the landscape, they're very limited in storage space for additional groups like ours. And they do this absolutely free for us and don't charge us. So that alone is a huge chunk of how we're able to exist. But I think the ultimate connection is when the players from the Firebirds get a chance to meet on the ice for the first time some of the participants, and there's this connection when we say, hey, that's number whichever the number is, and then we offer tickets to the game and they get an actual chance to see a hockey game in person for the first time. The connection between that player and that participant can last a lifetime. I know it has for some of our former participants who now are regular fans of the Flint Firebirds. So I know for a fact that every one of these kids that come through our program is not going to be a hockey player. Well, our hopes are is to develop an experience for them. We teach them a skill that no one can take from them, that is ice skating, and they become hockey fans for the rest of their lives.
Rico, before we let you go, this is the month of February, which is celebrated across North America as Black History Month or Black Heritage Month. What does that mean to you?
Well, it means a lot. It means that we get an opportunity to identify representation because representation matters. So for us in the OHL, we look at the players today, we look at the players that have walked, should I say, skated strides in the OHL and at the professional ranks that are Black. And it isn't just those folks, but I focus on those people because of my role, obviously, in our sport. It means a lot to me because when I first started the sport, I was virtually on the ice in arenas with no one else of color for many, many years. Now things are changing. And it isn't just that we're getting more players, but we're starting to see the spark of inclusivity where we see people in defined roles like athletic trainers and equipment managers. And we start to see people at higher levels of general managership on the National Hockey League level. The needle, like I said earlier, is moving. It's moving very slow, but I think that it will take the time that it will take will be sustainable time, and that's what is key to all of this. It isn't just saying it's Black people's turn to do this. It's just saying we want the same opportunities. People of color want the same opportunities. People from all walks of life want the same opportunities that anyone else that has experienced this sport will have and feel welcome doing it.
Rico, I've got to ask finally, not only it's yourself, but you have a committee that's involved with diversity and inclusion with the Ontario Hockey League, that it covers various aspects of the term diversity and inclusion.
Yes, it does, because I call race the low-hanging fruit. It's the most obvious of our differences, but our committee and what I focus on is much bigger than that. We have four different pillars that we have as diversity awareness pillars. That is being the Indigenous peoples awareness, Black Heritage Month, Pride appreciation, and Women's International appreciation. So those are the widest gamut of marginalized people that we encounter in our world, in North America here, that we want to make sure that we emphasize their importance to not only our world, but especially our sport.
Well, Rico, we appreciate the time, and certainly it's great work being done by yourself and the committee, and keep up the great work, and we will, I'm sure, see you around the rink very soon.
All right, I appreciate it so much, and please, if there's any way that someone from the OHL, including myself, can express a way that we can foster a more welcoming environment, please feel free to reach out to us.
Absolutely. Rico, thanks for the time.
All right, you're welcome.
There's Rico Phillips, the Director of Cultural Diversity and Inclusion for the Ontario Hockey League. Let's check in what's going on at the rink.